All right, guys. Good evening, everybody. Great to have you all. My name is Pratik Agarwal, and I'm going to be the AI coach for you today. The topic for today is very, very interesting. How do you build how do you build an app using Claude Code? And also, what we will do is that we will not only build the app, but we will also deploy it on a cloud hosting provider. So it's going to be a complete hands-on workshop where you will build the app from zero and you will deploy it for to share with anybody in the world. So be with me. And at the end of the workshop today, I will also tell you how to access Claude Code for free forever. Okay. Otherwise, Claude Code is a premium product by Anthropic, where you have to pay at least $20 per month to use. But at the end, I will show you how to set it up for free so that you do not have to pay any monthly subscription fee for it. So let's first start with who's sponsoring today's workshop. Ivy Professional School is sponsoring today's workshop. They're the leading data and AI edtech firm since 2007, and they have trained more than 35,500 professionals from various different corporate houses as well as institutes. So great to have you all. I am Pratik Agarwal. I'm one of the co-founders of Ivy Professional School. So let's get started with today's workshop. So what is Claude Code? So that's the first question that comes to everybody's mind. Claude Code is an agentic AI coding tool that lives directly in your terminal. When I say terminal, your command line interface. Okay. So how does it look? So it looks something like this. Okay. So this is your terminal, and this is where Claude Code is working. So we will talk more about it, and we will understand how to go there step by step as well. There are two ways to access Claude Code. One is through native access, which is through the terminal, and second is through autonomous action, and where it can run by itself without any human intervention. Today, I'm not going to show you how to run it autonomously because I'm also not so comfortable allowing Claude Code to run without me in the loop, okay, without human in the loop. All right. So one of the beauties of Claude Code is that it allows you to code, and it allows you to also review your code, test your code, and do everything that a experienced coder would otherwise do. Yeah. Now, what are the capabilities that Claude Code has? There are 6 main capabilities which Claude Code is famous for. One, it can analyze your entire code repository, and that code repository could be created in Python, in JavaScript, in any programming language that you have created the code or anybody has created the code. So it can read, analyze, tell you what is good, what is wrong, what's happening in the code, so you can ask any questions about any of the code. So we'll also see this capability. Second, it can work like a very, very expert tester, and also not just test your application's code, but also it can tell you if it runs a test, it sees a failure, you can ask Claude to rewrite the code until it passes. So that becomes a test-driven development, which is a very, very expert thing. Before these kind of agentic coding tools came in the market, there were experts who used to be extremely experienced and costly who used to do something like this. Okay. Third is Git mastery. Git mastery allows you to essentially save your code on GitHub, on Bitbucket, on various Git repositories which are there, so that you can control the versions. If you happen to make some changes to a particular version, if you want to go back, so you can do all of that as well. Okay. And the best thing is you're doing all these things through prompts, through English prompts. Okay. And Claude Code takes the technical work behind it, or writing the code and modifying the code. Shell integration. It can integrate with your PowerShell, with your bash commands, essentially the core of your operating system safely. Okay. And before making any change, it asks you whether you want to accept the plan of the change that it is making. So it's not as if, unless you give it the power, it will not make the changes by itself. Fifth capability, which is called as code refactoring, which essentially means that, let's say you have written some codes, let's say in Python, in HTML, in Java, in whichever language that you've written the code, sorry about that. It can review that code. It can make the changes to the code as an expert, and it will ask you again for the permission before making the change. And it can do massive refactoring. Massive refactoring meaning, suppose if you have tens of thousands of lines of code, and it can make changes to those lines of codes as well fairly quickly. And lastly, a good coder is also supposed to be good in documentation of as to what that code is, what his or her code is doing. So it can it can create the documents like requirements.doc, read.md, any documentation that is required to be done as part of your app development process. It can do that as well for you. So these are the 6 capabilities that Claude Code has, which makes it extremely, extremely famous. Okay. So now, before we go into the hands-on, very quickly, we will understand what are the typical steps that we follow while building an application or building a software application or a web app or mobile app using Claude Code. First, we will ask it to initialize a project. Maybe we will give it some description, some rules while building the project. For example, if you want to mention that, please explain each step in plain English to you before conducting that step, or please explain the plan of the steps that you're going to take before executing those steps. So if there are certain rules that you want to ensure that Claude Code follows before it starts to build the code, you can initialize that in a initial file, which we normally call it as Claude.md file. So we will talk about what is that Claude.md file is. Hiring a it's like hiring a developer and giving him certain job description on day one, the rules of the things that he is allowed to do, and the rules of the things that she is not allowed to do. So it's a complete job description that you want to give to Claude Code. So we put that into something called as Claude.md memory file, and it will keep referencing it back to you. This is a very good practice. That way, Claude Code does not end up doing some steps which Claude Code should not be doing. Then you describe the feature as to what are the features of the app. We will see this. You can have feedback loop. You can have some more features, some tweaking of the features. You can keep asking it, and it'll keep making it, keep verifying the features with you, showcasing how the app looks like with every step that it does. So you can go into the feedback loop. You can verify every step, whether there are any errors coming, whether it is behaving the way you want it to behave, and so the forth. And once you're satisfied with everything, you can push it into a Git repository. And through that Git repository, then you can push it into a cloud server as well. In fact, we put the app's code into a Git repository much before we are ready to ship, so that if there are some changes that we want to make, we have the version control happening before the scene. So these are the 5 simple steps that we normally take in order to push or build an application using Claude Code. All right. With that, let's build a let's first understand how do you install Claude Code on your Windows machine or on your Mac operating system. Yeah. So in order to do so, I'm going to come out of this, and I'm going to go to a website, and I'm going to say Claude Code download. That's it. And the first link that you'll get on Google will be of Claude Code. And if you're not logged in, and if you're not installed it, click on try Claude. And when you go to there, I'm actually already installed. Let me open it in an incognito mode so that I can show you the exact command and how do you do that. So when you click on try Claude here on the top right hand corner, it'll ask you to continue with your Google. So you can continue with your Google account or any other email account. And when you do so, let me take a new email account. Here I do not have Claude Code already there. So it's a one-time step, guys. And once you do so, then it comes over here and we accept it. Okay. Yeah, basically you want to come to this page, Claude.com. So you have to have a account. A free account is okay. And you come to this page. And then in this page, you will see this command for Windows. And because it detected my operating system, so it gave me this command. And this particular command, you'll have to run on your machine, I mean, on your computer, on your Windows laptop or desktop with an admin permission. Okay. Without an admin permission, you will not be able to do this. So I'm going to copy this command. And also, I will just open this documentation link here. And then I am going to open something called as PowerShell. So if you notice here, I'm opening something called as PowerShell. So I will type PowerShell again. So it'll give you Windows PowerShell. And when you come over here, remember you have to be logged in with an admin account. Then you paste that command, and that's about it. Okay. Now, when you paste that command, it'll automatically start downloading Claude Code, and then it'll install it, and you follow the paths. Okay. To install it, the steps are also mentioned in this documentation. You can follow these steps as well. I will give the steps link in the description of the video. If you are doing it from Windows PowerShell, this is the command. If you're doing it from Windows command line prompt, then this is the command. Okay, but remember you have to be logged in as an admin in order to do this. Okay, if you copy this command, then you have to go to your Windows. So you'll type CMD here, and the interface that it opens, you can run this as well here. Okay. The idea is that whether you are using PowerShell or you're using the standard CMD interface, remember that you have to be logged in with your PowerShell, with your admin account. Now, since it's already successfully installed, so it's over here, installation complete, and so on and so forth, right? Now, when it is done, then you type Claude, and remember the folder that it has installed in. So this is the folder that it has installed in. And then it'll ask you that, okay, do you want to trust this folder? Do you want to change some other folder? You do so. And when you come over here, so in my case, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to open my, um, I'm going to open my CMD. And once it is installed, if everything went right, then you just have to press Claude. I mean, you just have to type Claude, and then it will say that, okay, this is a quick safety check and so forth, like your own code. Yes, I trust this folder. So basically, Claude is working on this current working directory. The folder that you see over here in the file path, this folder is where currently Claude has access to, which essentially means that if I were to type here, show me the list of files and folders in the current working directory, then it will show you. Okay. Showing me this error. The reason why this is showing me this error is I know why this is showing this error. Give me 1 second. I will set it up. It's good that we're getting this error. I'll tell you little later why we got this error. So this is Claude Code interface, guys, and wherein, although it is a coding tool, however, we are actually using plain English prompt to interact with it. And you can see that it is doing what it is supposed to do, which is to list the files which are there in this particular current working directory. Yeah. So that's the beauty of working with the okay. So it is saying that it is rate limiting the model that we have used. So that's fine. We will change the model in just 1 second. Yes. Okay. Okay. So critical this. And so you can see that it is working on this current working directory. Now I'm going to ask it to change the working directory, to, let's say I want to be in this particular folder where I've created some projects related to Claude. So these are all my Claude projects. I want to come here, I'll copy this folder path, and I just say that change this directory to this. Okay. So it is saying that since it was, yeah, so I'm just allowing it to, so it's looking for that folder and it's changing it. So you can see that, I mean, the idea is that even a very difficult technical task, it can do for you on your behalf. Okay. So the first thing first, what we will do is that we will create a new folder in this particular file so you can see that, this is the these are the files in this particular working directory. I'm going to ask it to create a new folder in here. So I'm going to say that create a new folder called as my first Claude app. Okay. And whatever changes that it will make, it will ask you for the permission. So it's saying, do you want to proceed? Because I'm going to create a new folder. Yes. And then there are three options it is giving us. Yes, yes, and always allow access to CL projects from this project. So I'm going to, for now, I'm going to say second option. I bring my cursor here with the down arrow and I press enter so that it does not ask me. I kind of believe that this is not going to break anything within that particular folder. So I'm limiting my access. I mean, I'm limiting access to Claude Code to this particular folder. Okay. So now it says that this folder has been created and I'm going to say that let's go inside this folder and make this folder as the current working directory, working folder or directory. Okay. So what it is going to do is that it is going to go inside that particular folder and it's going to make that particular folder as the current working directory because that's where we will create our first application. So it's going inside that particular folder and it is making it the current working directory. By the way, when it is doing all this thing, I can write / and I can say btw, by the way. By the way, I have typed / btw and I press enter. What it does is that, okay, the command was run. Otherwise, it would have explained you what it was doing while it was doing. Okay. Now, so current working directory is now created and it says the folder is empty currently. Okay. Now, what are we going to create in this particular folder? Okay. So let me show you a small Word document which explains us as to what we will be doing in this particular folder. Okay. Now, okay. Okay, so it says, hey, we will create one application called as Data Lens, which allow users to create, to upload some data and get instant insights. I will show you this application. what we will be doing. So this is the application that we will create. First application, a typical data dashboarding application. What it does is that it will have a browse file. It will allow the user to upload a CSV file, an Excel CSV file. And once you upload and once the user uploads an Excel CSV file, it will understand what is there in the file. It would create automatically some charts, okay, visualize the data. Then it will create some business insights as well. As you can see, the business insights says Delhi has the highest newspaper circulation among the cities listed. The data that I had uploaded here was Times of India circulation, offline circulation across major cities in India. Times of India is a popular Indian news media paper. So it gives you the charts, the visual charts, as well as it gives you the insights. Okay. If you are a data professional, this is a gold mine because normally you have either the charting tools like Power BI, Tableau, Excel, or you have ChatGPT kind of AI tools which can generate insights from the data. But here, this particular application is doing both. It is creating the visualizations and also it is creating the business insights from the visualization. So it's creating both. So it's a gold mine for any data and AI professional. This is the ultimate application that we want to create. But before we create this major application, we will create a very, very tiny hello world kind of an application so that everybody understands how Claude Code programs or codes anything, right? So I'm going to go back to Claude Code and I'm going to ask it to, yes, Manish, you had a question, you raised your hand.
Yeah, just a very quick question. So
Yes,
suppose I am able to make, see, I don't come from a background of coding.
it
Uh,
doesn't matter what
yeah,
code,
yeah.
what background you come from.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So just to make it clear, I am able to make good dashboards for my employees of the employees, and very good insights using Claude. But I would love to see how to make an app out of it.
Yes, exactly. So that was an application actually.
Yeah.
It was
So
not just a dashboard, but
okay.
it was an
Yeah,
application
I'm
that
able to make that using HTML. If you write good prompts, that gives you a very good output using
and how do you and where do you host it, Manish?
that's yeah, every time मेरे को अगर किसी को दिखाना पड़ता है तो मैं HTML में ही बना
Right.
के रैंडम
So,
डाटा.
so today we will understand how do you build an application, not just in HTML, React application, Java application, Python application, and so on and so forth. For example, this is a Python-based application, and we will also understand that how do you deploy it on a cloud hosting provider as well. And all of it we will do from within Claude Code. One of the major differences between a normal chat mode, Claude also has chat mode, right? Chat GPT also has chat. The major
Right.
difference between agentic AI coding tool like Claude Code and the typical chat AI chatbots is that AI chatbots are good in probably creating something like this, but very bad in hosting them, very bad in doing coding related tasks. Okay. So when you want to push your code to a GitHub repository so that you can do version control over your codes, or when you want to deploy it on a cloud service provider, for example, Netlify or Vercel or even Azure or AWS, then it becomes much more difficult. And that's what Cloud Code kind of a tool makes it easy even for non-coders. All right, so let's be with me. And then towards the end, we will again have a little more discussion on this aspect. So now I'm going to ask it to create a very simple application, an application which just says hello to us. And then we will deploy it we will put the code into Git repository. Then we will deploy it onto something called as a cloud service provider, a free cloud service provider is Netlify and Vercel. So we will deploy it there. And then we will come and we'll build that major application which can build the dashboards and generate insights. All right. So I'm going to give a very simple prompt and I'm going to ask it that. Yeah. So I'm going to ask it that create a simple web website that says hello and has a contact button which says contact Ivy Pro to learn AI fast. This button should change the color to orange when the user hovers the mouse over it. So I've given a command, okay, in plain English, prompt in plain English, and it's going to actually build the entire code behind the scene. And now you will say that, yes, Chat GPT can also do this, or any other chat platform can also do this. They can build the code, but here we are going to also see that it will not only build the code, but will also help us to push it into Git library so that we can do version control and then push it finally to the to the cloud service provider. Here it says that index.html is created, and I am going to go to that particular folder, and this was the folder, and I'm going to see index.html is there, and this page opens up, and when I hover my mouse here, it changes the color to orange. Right? That's exactly what we asked it to do. So it's a very simple application. It's a typical simple HTML based application. And I am going to go back to Claude Code, and I'm going to say that, you know what, this is not the best practice of creating the application. Typically, as I had mentioned earlier, that when we create any application, we should also initialize it. Initialize meaning create some kind of a rule file so that Claude Code follows that rule file. So in Claude, that rule file is typically called as Claude.md. And the beauty of this Claude.md file is that whether you instruct Claude Code to follow the rules from Claude.md specifically or not, it will always follow the rules from Claude Code, okay, Claude.md file. So I'm going to ask it to create a Claude.md file with certain rules. Aranya, yes, this is part of vibe coding, but we are going to go slightly more than we just going to do vibe coding here. Anything that you do with prompt, and if it is coding based, yes, it is called as vibe coding. But here, in the true sense, we are not just restricting ourselves to just vibe code and forget about it. Okay. Now here, I'm going to ask it that, hey, create a Claude.md, MD meaning markdown file with certain rules. What are the rules? Rule number 1, always explain in plain English what you do before you do it. Second, never break or never remove the already created feature when you add a new feature to the app. Because if you don't give this instruction, at times when you ask it to add a new feature, it goes and breaks the old feature. Okay. Third, always document, always add documentation and comments to the code as required. Okay, these are the very, very simple rule that I have asked it to put in my Claude.md file. And you can have, if you have a very good project manager, product manager who would say that, what, these are the 10 rules that we must always follow. Okay, so it will actually do that. But here it has actually given all of this, and it's writing the code. So it says that wrote 34 lines of code to this Claude.md, and it has done it. And how do I know it has done it or not? If I alt tab and I come over here, I can see that it has a Claude.md file. Now, when I click on it, it is going to open Claude.md file, and it has created Claude Code guidelines file for us, code rules it has explained, and it has gone ahead and explained more properly than probably I had asked it to. Very nice. Before making any changes, always explaining what you do and so forth. Example, never remove existing features when implementing new functionality, always add documentation comments as required, what the code does, and so forth. It should be clear. Additional best practices, keep the code organized, follow consistent formatting, and so forth, right? So as you can see, these guidelines ensure high quality maintainable code that both the user and Claude can understand and build upon. This is a very, very strong, good practice, guys, okay? If you cannot create a Claude.md files rules, you can ask ChatGPT, you can ask any of these AI chatbots to help you create the instructions for Claude.md file. Okay. Now I'm also going to ask it to do something called as, so whenever I press /, it gives me the list of commands that I can run over here. I am going to run one command called as init /init, as you can see, /init. Now, what this command does is it will read my entire folder currently. So there are two files in this entire folder currently. One is index.html and one is claude.md. It will understand the structure of those two files. It will understand what is there, and it will, if it has to update claude.md file based on whatever it finds it will update it. It will not create any new file. When you do /init, sorry for that. When you do /init, it actually notices that, okay, there is a, what has happened in the file. Is there a claude.md file or not? If it is already there, it is going to update it. If it is not there, then it is going to create a claude.md file. So now these are the green changes that it has made to the claude.md file. Okay. So that's what it is showing, that these are the things that it has done to, I've updated the claude.md file with the required prefix, project architecture, development workflow, command section, design patterns, and so on and so forth, right? Now, so this says that this file now provides future Claude instance with both your project rules and practical guidance on how to write simple static website code base. And if I go back to my claude.md file, and I can see all those things written here. Okay, technology stack and so forth, CSS, no build tool, development workflow. So it's a very good thing. Now, when it is mandatory to do something like this as a best practice, let's say here we are creating a new application from scratch, but let's say you already had code base available to you of an application that you have already created in the past, then it becomes a mandatory step to do. Why? Because then, I mean, which step becomes mandatory? /init, so that it can read and understand your code repository, make a claude.md file of what it has found in the code repository. For now, since it was a new project, it was not necessarily mandatory because we had already created a claude.md file. Great. Now, so we've created a single file HTML code, but generally speaking, none of the application will have only one code file. It will have a separate HTML file, separate CSS file, and so on and so forth, right? So I'm going to ask it, break the single index.html file into multiple files as if a seasoned coder has created this app. So what it will do is that it is going to break it into an HTML file, into a CSS file, and so on and so forth. Okay. A JS file as well, because there is a button maybe. All right. So the reason why we are hitting the rate limit, because what I have done here is behind the scene currently, I am not using Anthropic's Claude Sonnet model or Opus model or Haiku model. I'm actually using a free model which does not have any, which is free. Okay, but which hits rate limit for certain time, which I'll show you at the end, towards the end of the workshop. So now it will separate. It's saying that it will create separate HTML and CSS file into their own files, creating a clean project structure with the index.html and styles.css. Right? So that's a typical good way of creating, web application, to divide them into multiple component-based files. Okay. So now it is red are the things that it has removed, green are the things that it has created. Okay. And you can see here, by the way, the time it takes and the token it is taking to do all these tasks. Okay. Thought for how many seconds and so on and so forth, right? And if I write BTW here, then it will tell me, okay, so again, rate limiting, but that's fine. And in the meantime, let's go back here, and you can see that it has created a CSS folder, which has its own styles, and it has an index.html HTML file. Even if I click open it, it's fine, it is working, but now it is broken into multiple files. So while it is not saying it here, but it is done. Okay. So this is how typically you create a simple application. You do create a Claude.md file. You do create a, then you test it as well, so that, you make sure that everything is working. And so it is verifying the project. If you want to stop it at any point of time, you can always say, um, okay, now it's done actually. Otherwise, you would have said stop it and then it's updated and all of this is done. It says this is the structure that we have done. These are the changes that it has made and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, great. Now, let's say we have done quite a bit into our project, right? Now, I want to save these codes into a Git repository. And what Git repositories do is that they allow you to manage the control of the version. Suppose now we have made so many changes to, let's say, index file and Claude file and so forth. What if I want to go back one version before? I cannot right now because those versions are overwritten. So ideally, I should have had some kind of version control enabled into my project. So when you are coding a very big application, then it becomes even more important to have version control enabled, right? So how do you do that? So GitHub is the best tool to do so. So I am going to ask it that initiate a Git push for the files that we have created so far. And that's it. And let's say what it is going to do is that it will, if you do not have GitHub installed on your local machine, it is going to ask you to install it, and it can install that application for you as well, one by one. Okay. And once it is installed, then so it's saying that let me check the Git status first to see what files we have and if this is already a Git repository or not. And in the meantime, okay, so now it says, yes, Git init. It's initializing the Git repository. And after that, yeah, and it's saying add. Okay, so it is going to now, what it has done is that it has created the Git local repository. And now I'm going to say commit. Commit basically means I'm making the changes, committing the changes, and it committed to the Git. Currently, it is committed to your local Git, but it is not committed to your cloud GitHub account. So in order to commit this into a cloud GitHub, so now it says to complete the push, I need you to provide a remote repository URL from GitHub. Would you like me to add a remote and push to it? Please provide the URL or this, or would you prefer to set up the remote later? I'm going to say one, and I'm going to ask it to do it for me. Okay. So what it is going to do is that it is going to create a Git repository online on my account. And how does it know that what is my account? So it is going to say that I need the Git repository URL to proceed. Please provide one of these format, this format. Once you provide this URL, then I can do it. Or I can say that so now it's asking me to provide the Git repository. It's very easy to create the Git repository. In order to create the Git repository, I'm going to just come here and I'm going to go to, let's say, github.com. And if it is the first time you're coming here, you just sign up with your Gmail account. And once you sign up with your Gmail account, you will come to something like this. You will come to repository here. and you will say, so I'm going to copy this. I can manually create it also. Okay. And I should come back, enter to continue, and enter to continue. I trust this folder, and I'm going to say that let's navigate to, and I'm going to give the folder path. This is going to be faster as well, because now I'm using the Sonnet 4.6 model with low effort. Even with low effort, it's a proper professional LLM model. And it can say that, it can see that this is the folder we are in this here. Now I'm going to ask it, push the uh, files into Git repository. Okay. And it's going to be much faster, and it's going to be easier to do it. So that's the difference between using a paid model versus using a free model. Free model may ask you to do a couple of extra stuff. And now, it fetched my user account as well. The working tree is already clean. All files are committed. The remote is this clhello.git. And shall I push it to the remote? And I'm going to say yes. Let's push it to the remote. So it is the bullet access. Let's see. So some odd reason it's not doing so. If it doesn't work, then I'll show you another method of doing it. So now it's going to ask me to log in. And I am going to log in. Once again. It's good that you guys are seeing some of these errors. 6,258. It's a one-time process, guys. Okay, you'll have to give access to your Git repository anyways. All right, so now the files are on this, and I can see that the files are here. And if I go to my Git repository, whichever one, that Git repository that it has pushed to, okay, this is the Git repository that it has pushed to. So I just want to make sure that we are in the right account. So when I go to the Git repository, I can see the files are over here. These are the same files that we had initially. So say create initial project structure for Hello App website. That is a message that it wrote, and these are the files that are pushed onto the GitHub repository. The reason why we wanted to push it to the GitHub repository so that from GitHub, I can host it onto a cloud server, right? So once it is there, then I can say that now deploy this on Netlify cloud. Okay. Now what it's going to do is that it is going to ask me to log into Netlify, but since I have already logged in, and if it is there, then if the login ID credentials is already taken, then it is not going to ask me. Otherwise, if it is the first time you are doing it, it's going to ask you to create Netlify account, which you can create for free. Current Netlify user, this, already logged in. Now let me deploy it directly. Okay, so otherwise it would have asked you to log in onto Netlify, just like how it asked me to log into GitHub. Yeah. And if it finds any errors, it rectifies the errors by itself. So now it is saying what all it is doing. And suppose if I write BTW, by the way, what's going on? So it says the production is live. The site is live, and this is the push to the GitHub, and this is the live link. So if I open this live link, so it is an actual app which is deployed onto cloud. Yeah. Now here, the idea is that I gave instructions, the prompts to create a very simple application. Okay. I am going to leave you guys. I'll put this document in the description. Follow the prompts which are given here, and you will be able to build that data lens dashboard application that I told you at the beginning. Follow the same steps. I've explained all the steps. I've given the prompts. So these dark, bold color fonts are the prompts that you need to run phase by phase. I've also mentioned that how do you create the Claude.md file? If you have to create an AI insight layer, how do you do that? And also, here I have given the prompt to initialize the Git repository, and I've also given the prompt to deploy it on on Netlify as well as on Streamlit. So you can definitely give it a try. And remember, here the imagination is yours. You can think of an application and you can build it. You can push the code to GitHub repository, and then you can deploy it on a cloud service provider, like free cloud service provider like Netlify and Vercel from within Claude Code. Now, what I'm going to show you, because there are 10 minutes remaining, what I really want to show you today is that how do you create or how do you install Claude Code, and how do you create a free account with Claude Code. Okay, the interface would be this, where you are using the commands. The only difference will be that instead of using, for example, currently if I write currently if I write model, then it shows me that I'm using Opus, which is their biggest model, Haiku fastest, and Sonnet great for everyday use model. So I'm using their Anthropic's professional model. Anthropic is the mother company of Claude. But if you do not want to use their model, like initially I was not using Claude's model, then you can use Claude Code. The interface would remain the same. The way we are accessing it would remain the same. The only difference would be that you will be able to use this entire setup without paying any $20 per month, or $100 per month, or without paying for any API. Okay. The only thing is there are 2-3 steps that we have to do in order to do this. Now, what is the first step, right? Now let me log out from here. Now, the first step is you install Claude Code, like how you would ideally install, for any project, which is you go to their Claude Code product install, right? When you search by like that, you'll come over here this link, which says Claude.com product/Claude Code, and then you'll get the link here. Remember, you copy the link, you go to Windows PowerShell, copy the link, you go to Windows PowerShell. How do you go to Windows PowerShell? And you paste that link there. And then you press enter, right? Remember, you have to be logged in as an administrator in your laptop. Okay, once you do so, it will take its own time, a few minutes. And once it installs, then what is going to happen is, for example, once it installs, then let me log out. So once it installs, then you will come to the screen. Okay. Now, you don't have to do anything. You do not have to log in into any account. Okay. So you will be in a screen. You will be in a screen where Claude Code window comes like this, but do not select any login at this point of time. Then there are two steps that you have to take. And I've described the steps over here in this document, which I'll give you in the description. You will have to go to, so the steps, done. And then you will have to go to this particular website called as OpenRouter. Okay. So this website, what it does is that OpenRouter, just Google there. What it does is that it helps you to redirect. Okay. So what you need from this website is you need a couple of things. Okay. So first you search OpenRouter Claude Code. Okay. And when we come to this link which says integration with Claude Code, I'll give you the, I've given the link to this link as well in the document. And when you come there, you scroll down to step number 2. And this step number 2, you will come over here and you will come and click on project settings file here, project settings file. You'll get a JSON file here, this JSON file. Copy this, put it into a notepad. And in this notepad, here, where it says Anthropic base URL is OpenRouter, this very good. What it does is essentially you're changing the base URL from Anthropic's official site to OpenRouter, and then Anthropic router authentication token. In this token, it says, give me the API key, and you have to go back to your OpenRouter main website. On the main website, you will see get API key. You'll have to log in. Once you log in, then it will allow you to create an API key. Create the API key. Let's say, give some name and expiration, no expiration. And it's free to use with a very generous limit. So I've copied this API key, keep it safe, and come back over here between these two double quotes, paste it. And then where it says Anthropic API key, leave it blank. This way, it will understand that you do not have the API key from Anthropic, so leave it blank. Copy this much just in the next line, paste it, and here modify this API key to model in caps. And this is where you will give a free model name. Where will you get the free model name? Again, go back to OpenRouter And in OpenRouter, it lists the free models. When you click on Explore Models, you'll come to the list of models. 663 models are there currently. You come here and types free. And under free, so this is the model that I was using it. Now, not all models work for free, okay? The free ones which are mentioned here. So you can always ask Gemini, ChatGPT, which ones work for free. But I know that this step fun at least works for free. Come here and copy the model name as it is here. Copy it and then come back to this JSON file, put it over there, file, save it. Remember where you have saved it. Let's say I save it. Settings, and I give the extension dot JSON. Okay. Now, this is not, desktop is not the folder, not the place where you want to save it. You want to go back. Remember, you have installed Claude. So once you have installed Claude, you want to go back to your user account. So go to your C drive, if it is where you would have installed it in Windows. Go to the users, go to the user where you installed it, and you will find, if you don't see, you are looking for essentially a folder which says .claude. For some odd reason, if it is hidden, then right click over here, go to properties and show the hidden files. Okay, show the hidden files. All right. Then you want to go to this folder which says .claude, and there you will find you will find a file called as settings. If you don't file a file called as settings, do not worry about it. The file that you just copied, the file that you just created, settings.jsn, you just have to come over here and paste it. That's it. I'm not going to do it because it's already done for me. That file that we saved in desktop, you will come here and you paste it. Once you are done with it, then go back to your terminal where you installed Claude, and this time I'm going to show you what you'll have to do. Because I'm using both, so I have to be slightly careful. So go back and, I mean, you don't have to do this step. I had to do this. What you have to do then is, in a new command line prompt, just type Claude, CLAUDE. And when you type Claude, you will come to an interface like this, where he'll say, what is the mode? Dark mode is fine. And then you will see this function and so on and so forth. And you press enter, and then again you press enter, and that's it. Now you are inside Claude Code. And when you type model, it should ideally show you the model that you had selected. If this is here, that means everything is working fine. And you can say hello, and it should respond to you back. Remember, because it's a free model, it's going to be slower and maybe slightly less capable than the models that we normally get with Anthropic's Claude subscription, which is, of course, you have to pay extra for it. So now this is working. So, but this is great, guys. Okay, what this allows you to do is that it allows you to use this powerful Claude Code platform for free for forever. At least that's what the notion is currently. And the only thing that you're doing is that the AI brain that you're using not from Anthropic's Claude models, but you're using it from one of the free models. And hence this is free. Now, I know the steps may look slightly confusing if you're looking at it for the first time. Hence, what I've done is that I have recorded the steps over here, which you can follow step by step, which I'll upload in the description of the video test. All right. So just to summarize what all we have done so far. We've done actually quite a bit if you think about it. We, of course, built an app, right? The steps that we followed. Building an application steps would remain the same irrespective of whether you're using the free model or you're using one of the Anthropic's main model, okay? You initialize the project, you create a Claude.md file, put some rules, ground rules there, describe the feature, describe the feedback loop, verification, ship it, and so on and so forth. And then you have, you do the free setup and then you start using it, right? These are the two things that we have done. Now, as I mentioned, I created a very simple application, but because, we of course don't have so much of time. So I have also created the step-by-step process to create a complete dashboard-driven app and deployed on cloud, guys. Okay. If you have really followed this bootcamp today, then you would definitely build something great for yourself. And this is the new age skill, guys. Okay. It's beyond vibe coding because you're using Claude Code to not just build vibe code an application, but also deploy it on GitHub, deploy it on cloud platform. You can start making money if you need to. Yeah. So with that, thanks a lot for joining in the session today, guys. I'm going to give you guys my LinkedIn ID. Feel free to reach out to me should you have any questions regarding the workshop today, or if you want to understand how to make a career in data and AI, you should be able to reach out to me. So this is my LinkedIn profile, guys. I'll be more than happy to accept the connection request from you all. Thanks a lot for joining in today. If you like the workshop, then do visit, because we run a full-fledged generative AI and AI for product manager course. Feel free to explore those courses. AI for product manager course is for non-programmers, and generative AI course is for people who have some technical background to work with. So definitely explore these two courses. One is AI for Product Manager, and second one is Generative AI, which are two very relevant courses in the world of AI. Thanks a lot for joining in today, sir. Yes, thank you. Have a good one. Do send me a LinkedIn request. Bye-bye.